The year was 1985. Political violence by the youth broke out in South Africa following the assassination of civil rights lawyer Victoria Menge. Meanwhile, in America, CBS premiered the film Children of the Night based on sociology student Lois Lee's expose on female crime, and NBC aired the first AIDS-themed TV movie, An Early Frost. In a case of art imitating life, another film was released theatrically that dealt with the subjects of youth standing up for what they believe in and women resorting to violence to make their voices heard. But Rian never saw it, until now. This is Movies I Missed, 1985, Episode 8, The Legend of Billie Jean.
I'm Jesse Munoz.
And I'm Rian Miller.
This is Movies I Missed, 1985, Episode number 8. Today we're talking about the film The Legend of Billie Jean, released July 19th, 1985, with a running time of 1 hour and 36 minutes. I want to give a warning that we will be discussing all aspects of this movie. That includes spoilers. The Legend of Billie Jean is a 1985 drama directed by Matthew Robbins, starring Helen Slater and Christian Slater. The film follows Billie Jean Davy, a Texas teenager who becomes an unexpected outlaw after a confrontation over her brother's damaged scooter escalates into a wrongful accusation. Forced to flee with her friends, she becomes a symbol of rebellion and justice, inspiring a movement with her call for fairness and the rallying cry, "Fair is fair." As the media frenzy grows, Billie Jean must decide how far she's willing to go to stand up for what's right.
I'm Billie Jean Davy, and I want to set the record straight.
Oh my God. Wow.
I'm not a liar, I'm not a thief, and neither is my brother.
Hello, Ma.
Sorry, that is him. Mom, I don't know when we'll be coming home, but we love you. I know people are making up stories about us. Don't you believe them? As for you, Mr. Pyatt, you are so sleazy.
Yeah!
You think that you can do anything you want and then lie about it, and we just have to take it, because what are we? Just a bunch of kids. Well, not this time. From now on, we're doing this our way. No lying, no cheating, fair is fair.
All right.
$608 for the scooter your son trashed. That's what you owe, and we're not turning ourselves in till we get it. Fair is fair. We didn't start this, we didn't mean it to happen, but we're not giving up till you pay. Fair is fair.
A couple of plugs. Moviesimissed.com is our website. Make sure you check that out. It has all our episodes from season 1 and season 2, 1999 and 1985. We've got our Instagram and YouTube links there at Movies I Missed Podcast for both of those, so you can follow and subscribe as we post content there. And our podcast is available wherever you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and all other platforms. So subscribe where you get your podcasts. Rian, your choice for this week is The Legend of Billie Jean. Tell me, why did you choose this movie? What's your relationship to it?
I forget how I first heard about the movie, but it was probably just seeing the poster, which
the poster's so good, man. It's a great poster.
That's why I think it was the poster.
Yeah.
It's just Helen Slater in that badass outfit, very 80s, like bright colors, and not knowing who this Billie Jean is or why there's a legend of her. But so like I feel like I wanted to watch it for a while. Again, not really even knowing the premise. If I ever like read a synopsis in years past, I promptly forgot about it. But then I know at some point I was in Walmart. This is probably like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And it was this weird package of Blu-rays. It was a 6-pack, but it was like 3 Blu-ray cases in like a paper sleeve. And the box set was called Sun, Sand, and Sweat, I think.
Okay. Right.
And so it was this movie in its own Blu-ray, like they just took the Blu-ray release and slid it in the box. Another movie, which I can't for the life of me remember what it is. I want to say it's Little Nikita with Corey Haim, but I don't know if that fits into the Sun, Sand, and Sweat theme. And then, so it was those 2 movies in like their own Blu-ray cases. And then the third Blu-ray case itself was a 4-pack containing, I have it on my phone here, Private Resort, which is like an early like beach sex comedy with, I think, Johnny Depp. Hard Bodies, which is another like beach sex comedy from the 80s. Spring Break, which it's just another sex comedy from the 80s, and the movie Perfect, which is some kind of like aerobics romantic comedy or something with John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis. And so I've owned this quote unquote box set for years. And that's just the way that it goes. Like I'm constantly like tracking down and buying and accumulating so many movies that even something I actively want to watch, I'll buy it and it'll sit on the shelf for years before I get around to it. And
sure.
So like when I was looking at the list of movies from 1985 to like pick the 5 that I wanted to watch for this year, for this season of the show, there were like 2 or 3 that jumped right out at me. And I was like, we're doing it. And this was one of them, just because I have actively wanted to see it, even if just because of the poster for so long.
Yeah. I can say that I knew absolutely nothing about this movie. I had no idea who was in it. I didn't recognize that it was Helen Slater on the cover. I just thought it was a young, hot blonde woman, you know, with that haircut and the outfit that she's wearing. I didn't know that it was her. And I didn't even see the cover, honestly, until we started looking for movies for this season. And I think you brought it up. I think the title is intriguing, The Legend of Billie Jean. I think it's a great title. I don't know if it's necessarily a great title for this movie in particular, but I think it's just a good title that would makes you at least want to see what it is about, right? Like, what is The Legend of Billie Jean?
I mean, that's what I said. I saw the poster. I thought it looked awesome. And then the title is intriguing. Like, that's all it took.
Yeah. So, knowing really nothing about it, I was interested to check it out. It's one of the few movies I actually think I had to rent, like actually pay for and rent, because it's not available on any streaming platform. So
you probably could have gotten the Sun, Sand, and Sweat box set for the same price you paid to rent it.
Probably. But then I'd
it
also
was obviously some studio just dumping a bunch of movies that they own the rights to in a box set, hoping someone would buy it.
And then I would also have to purchase a DVD player, which I currently do not own.
Blu-ray?
Or a Blu-ray player, either one. I guess Anderson's got a PS5.
You don't own a Blu-ray player?
Does that count? Does a PS5?
I mean, if it plays Blu-rays, then
I have no
yes.
idea. Does a PS5 play Blu-rays?
I mean, it has to. My PS4 plays Blu-rays.
Okay. Oh, we've got a PS4 too then. So yeah, I do. I guess I technically do have a Blu-ray player. All right. Movies directed by a guy named Matthew Robbins. The only credit that I got here listed is batteries not included. So not anyone of real note.
It's funny. I didn't think to write it down, but when I was looking at his filmography, he's more of a writer than a director. He's only directed a few things, but I think his name was attached to a couple of like noteworthy things as writer.
Okay. Yeah. When I was looking for it through his filmography, I didn't really find much. So even on, it looks like on Wikipedia, he's listed as Michael Robbins screenwriter, because Robbins obviously is a very, very common name. Some of the things that he's written are The Sugarland Express from 1974.
Early Steven Spielberg movie.
The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. American sports comedy film about a team of enterprising ex-Negro League baseball players in the era of racial segregation. Okay. He wrote MacArthur from 1977. I'm not going to list everything here, but yeah, batteries not included.
Nothing else jumps out. I thought there were some. Mimic, the Guillermo del Toro movie.
Yeah, he wrote that.
Nice.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark in 2010.
That's the one that stars, what's her name from
Katie
Batman
Holmes?
Begins? Yeah.
Crimson Peak.
Also Guillermo del Toro. That's interesting that they've worked together a couple times. I think Guillermo del Toro produced Don't Be Afraid of the Dark as well.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting that they've like worked together so much.
Yeah, they got a working relationship. He also has a story by credit on the Pinocchio movie that came out a few years ago,
which was del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of what he's been doing. All the others, the last thing he directed was in 1991, a movie called Bingo. The film follows Bingo.
Is that the one with a dog?
Clever runaway circus dog who goes on a cross-country search to find Chucky, a boy he befriended. Yep.
When I remember almost nothing about that movie, but when I was a kid, my sister and I used to rent that from the mom and pop video store nearby all the time. Like I would rent that over and over again. Bingo. Wow.
He has some uncredited writing roles. THX 1138, the George Lucas movie.
Really?
Jaws. He's an uncredited writer on Jaws, apparently, as well as Close Encounters and E.T. So
yeah, Spielberg / Lucas connection, Guillermo del Toro connection. I mean, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then he directed The Legend of Billie Jean and Batteries Not Included.
Yeah.
Which
sure.
I think Batteries Not Included was written by Mick Garris, who worked for Steven Spielberg for a while and like wrote and maybe directed some episodes of his TV show Amazing Stories. It was like an anthology TV show back in the day. So
okay.
Spielberg connections all over the place.
Nice. I have listed here the cinematographer again for this movie, Jeffrey L. Kimball. And again, the reason I have him listed, not because I know him by name or could tell you the movies that he did off the top of my head, but when you look at his filmography, it's pretty stacked. He was a cinematographer for Top Gun, for True Romance, for Wild Things, for Mission Impossible 2, for The Expendables, and your and I favorite from 1999, Stigmata, which is crazy because that movie looks like shit. That movie is ugly as hell.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But the Top Gun, he had 3 movies with Tony Scott from 86 to 90. He did Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Revenge, all with Tony Scott.
Well, True Romance was Tony Scott too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So at times can be a pretty good cinematographer. Worked with John Woo a couple times too, with Mission Impossible 2, Wind Talkers, and The Hire. So it seems like he finds a guy to work with, makes a couple movies, and then is out of there.
And as a cinematographer, he's the man who first put Denise Richards' nipples on the big screen with Wild Things.
Yeah,
and got to give him props for that.
Claim to fame. I thought the movie actually looked good. It's got a naturalistic, gritty feel. It's a lot of outdoor shots with like them on the run. But I don't know. I liked the look of the movie. It's not. I
don't want to be a broken record here, but like last episode, we were kind of talking about how, with Ron and like the natural cinematography, like the natural like outdoor settings and like the bright colored costumes and everything, and just the difference between how movies used to look versus how everything digital looks nowadays. I mean, yeah, just like watching a movie set in the 1980s in like small towns that was shot on film. It's like an easy win. It just looks good.
Yeah.
It's like appealing. It's like kind of refreshing if you're so used to just watching like, modern big budget movies or whatever.
Right. And there's like a dirtiness to it all because, like they're on the run, they're poor, and they're I don't know, they're just dirty and kind of grimy. And there's like there's something appealing to that. Again, like we mentioned when talking about the last week's movie, Ron, it's like the mistakes and the naturalness and the letting it just be what it is. I don't know. There's something appealing to that, like you said. And the movie just looks good. I like it.
Like nothing in this was shot on green screen. They never extended the background with CG elements, Not that this movie has like wire work and shit, but it's just, I don't know. It's just a movie about a bunch of characters running around, and it's shot on film. And it's got that vintage 80s vibe with the clothing and the scene in the mall.
Yes.
The mall. And the old like shitty looking mall, but my God, it's amazing.
But it's like in pristine condition, right? Because it was probably pretty new at the time.
Yeah. But it's just like at the time they decided like this entire mall should be different shades of brown, which feels like a bad choice, but it's nostalgic now.
Right.
There's just like that giant fountain with the escalators and all the old cars, and just like when she comes out wearing the outfit from the poster, and it's just like she's cut her hair, and she, for no good reason, she's just like, if I'm going to be on camera, I'm going to put on what looks like a sleeveless like surfing suit or like wetsuit.
Yeah.
And she decided to put one giant fucking crazy earring on with like a dream catcher and a feather on it. And I don't know, just all that stuff, the look, the vibe of it.
Totally.
I don't know, man.
When they're at the haircuts, mall, they're at the mall, and after the mall scene, the like news reporters there and talking to different people about Billie Jean and what they experienced, and just the uniqueness and the nostalgia of seeing everyone look like they are in the 80s because it was 1985. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
all that stuff was so
and
good.
then just
I really
the
liked it.
element of this movie where they're like on the run, and it's just another movie that would be ruined by modern technology. They don't have cell phones.
Yeah.
There's no internet. There's not security cameras every single street corner. It's just, they're, people are running up to them with newspapers for them to get their information off of it. And
yeah,
the whole fucking thing, man. It feels like these days this movie would take place over one day and then they'd be caught, where, it's kind of like small towns and back roads, but they're able to remain on the lam in one general area. Like, they never really leave. They keep talking about going to Vermont, but they don't. And like they're on the run for like a long time. And
yeah,
I don't know. Just this movie, I've said it before, I'll say it again, this movie's a vibe, and I'm totally
really
here for it.
It really is a vibe. Let's talk about the cast before we really get into the plot of it. Helen Slater as Billie Jean. Immediately recognized her as Supergirl, a movie that I had seen a bunch as a kid. Not a great movie, but
actually never seen that.
Yeah, you're not missing much, but I've so enjoyed her. I mean, she is just really good as Supergirl, in the same way that like Christopher Reeve was really good as Superman. She just kind of fit the mold of like the classic hero in the costume and stuff. So we have a couple things listed for her. Apparently she was in these movies. I couldn't tell you. She was in Ruthless People, The Secret of My Success, and City Slickers is a movie I saw way back when it originally came out. I was a kid. I couldn't tell you much about it. I feel like I need to rewatch that one.
Ruthless People, I highly, highly, highly recommend.
Okay.
That is a hilarious movie. It might be directed by Danny DeVito. Whether or not it is, he's in it. It's him, Bette Midler, and Judge Reinhold. It's fucking hilarious. It's just like a dark comedy of errors, and it's just great. It's so good.
Does she have a small part in it?
The funny thing is, I don't really remember her in it. There is like a secondary female lead that's not Bette Midler. That she might be that character. It's been a couple years since I've watched it now, but like the other three stand out to me more. But that's just like Secret of My Success. That's a Michael J. Fox movie, and I just watched that for the first time like a year ago. Really enjoyed it. And I already struggle to remember who she was in that. Like, I'm guessing she was the love interest, but I can't even say with 100% certainty. I mean, I'm not super familiar with Helen Slater. The funny thing is, like, leading up to watching this movie, since, like I said, I had never seen it and I only really knew the poster. Like, if you had asked me who is the actress that's on the cover of Legend of Billie Jean, I would have said, is it Lori Petty who played... Tank Girl. Yeah. For some reason, I was getting them confused, but like I also just watched City Slickers for the first time within the last 2 calendar years, and I also don't remember her in that. But yeah, I'm guessing she has a small part in that because most of that movie is just like a couple of dudes out
in the woods,
on the range.
Yeah, for sure.
But
she also has played like Supergirl related characters. She played Laura L on Smallville, who's Superman's mom. She played Supergirl's adoptive mother in the Supergirl TV series, the one that was out a few years ago. She played Martha Kent in DC Superhero Girls Hero of the Year. And then she had the cameo in CG in The Flash recently as well. Oh boy.
Sorry, I forgot that one.
Yeah, I think most people have at this point. Keith Gordon as Lloyd. He was in Jaws 2, Dressed to Kill, and Christine. Is this the...
It's like the boyfriend character, who they're hostage, quote unquote.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
So him, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, God damn it, he looks familiar. What do I know him from? And it wasn't until after I looked him up when the movie was over when I realized it's Christine. He's one of the lead characters in Christine. Have you ever seen that? About the killer car?
No.
It's like the car is like possessed by this evil force that like
Stephen King.
Keith Gordon plays this character who's like a nerd, but he's a nice guy, and he gets this car, and then it like kind of turns him evil, and he turns into like a real asshole. But he's awesome in that movie. And this whole movie, tell me if I'm nuts, but I was like, he could play, like back then, he could have played like young Balky in like a Perfect Strangers like prequel series. Like the whole movie, just like his hairstyle and like his kind of face shape and his kind of big nose. I was like, he reminds me of Bronson Pinchot.
That's hilarious. I didn't think about it until you mentioned it now, but you totally.
Yeah.
I just loved him in the movie. He's got all this technology that's like way ahead of everyone else. Like his dad is the running for attorney general or something of the state, and has, video cameras and the swimming pool and the huge house and the reel to reel and all, I don't know, all that stuff was really, really cool.
Yeah.
We've got Christian Slater, who plays Billie Jean's younger brother, Binks. This is his first role. You don't have anything listed here.
Well, I mean, it's Christian Slater. I tend to write down stuff for people if like I don't know who they are as much, and
Sure.
I want to be able to recall what I've seen him in. But I mean, we all know Christian Slater, right?
What was the first thing you saw Christian Slater in that you can remember?
The first thing I saw him in,
It's pretty distinct for me. The first thing that I saw him in was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He plays.
That might be it for me because I saw that around the time it came out. I was thinking maybe like Broken Arrow for me.
A little later, yeah.
But like, I didn't see Interview with a Vampire until later. Like True Romance, I remember seeing in high school. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, he's still acting, but the 80s and the 90s were his time for sure.
For sure. You said this was his first role?
First role. Yeah, he was pretty young in this.
I mean, he looked really young, but I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was still in school from the things that I was reading, so he had to actually take classes while making the movie like kids do. Yeah, he was good. Richard Bradford as Pyatt. This is the guy. He's
the jerk who owns the surf shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the Untouchables, Dr. Googles you have listed. He has just the perfect pedophile look to him. Like he looks like a villain. It's the mustache, it's the creepiness. Like even when we're first introduced to him and he's kind of going along with it, I'm like, he's not going along. Like there's no way he's going to give her this money, right? And then of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second he's like, I got to go upstairs and get the money. You coming? It's immediately like, uh-oh.
Yeah, for sure. He does a great job as like the villain too, though. I thought he was believable and entertaining and had the perfect look for it. Is it Coyote or Coyote?
Yes, it's Peter Coyote, who I mostly know from E.T. He's like the government guy with the keys on his belt in E.T.
Yep.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, but it's funny. Like I've always known that his name is Peter Coyote, and I never bothered to look it up. And I didn't read the whole thing, but I did just earlier today read a thing on Wikipedia about it. Coyote is not his given name. His last name does start with C, but it's like Cohen or something. But he, at some point, apparently took peyote and had like a vision quest.
Oh my God.
And like saw like a spirit animal. And then he like woke up and he saw like paw prints on the ground around him, and he eventually decided to change he got like real into like Native American stuff and decided to legally change his last name to Coyote.
That's crazy.
And then he's just like, he's an E.T. in this movie. Like he seems like a total square, just like the kind of characters he plays and kind of how he looks. So it's kind of hard to imagine. Like I took peyote and changed my name to Coyote, but
right.
That's
he
this dude.
Looks like a cross between Eric Roberts and Matthew Modine or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I'm 100% on board with what you just said. I would agree.
I liked him in the movie. He's the lieutenant trying to help Billie Jean out.
Yeah, he's the good guy cop.
Also trying to arrest her, but
he's the one that's trying to end everything peacefully.
Yeah, we've got two friends of Billie Jean that lived in the trailer park with her. Martha Gaiman as Ophelia and Yardley Smith as
Yardley. Yes, Yardley
as Putter. Martha Gaiman, she was in Father of the Bride, Practical Magic, but I don't think those were starring roles. Those were probably more supporting roles.
They were the biggest names that I saw when I looked her up, but I don't really know who she is.
She's not really anyone that's like a big name, but Putter, on the other hand, is a very famous person.
Yeah, she's Lisa on The Simpsons, which I mean, she's sort of doing a voice as Lisa, but also just the second she opens her mouth in anything, you're like, oh, that's Lisa Simpson.
Yeah.
Because like the first movie I saw her in, like the first thing I saw her in that wasn't The Simpsons was Maximum Overdrive. And she's only in like one scene, I think. But the second she opens her mouth, I was like, that voice comes out of that person?
Right. Oh, man. So, yeah. She's in this. Barry Tubb as Hubie. Was that the guy?
The son of the villain.
Yeah, okay. He was in Mask.
Who beats up Binks.
Top Gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last person we have listed is Dean Stockwell as Mulder.
That's Lloyd's dad, the guy who's like running for office. And
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he's that guy actor who's been in 1,000 things. Like I could have written down way more, but
yeah. Dune, Blue Velvet, Beverly Hills Cop 2. So yeah, all over the place. Decent cast, not a ton of big names, but Christian Slater being the biggest. Not at the time since it was his first movie, but out of all these people, definitely.
I mean, if you want to talk about if you want to say that like what makes them the biggest is how much money they have, it's got to be Yardley Smith. I mean, 30-something seasons of The Simpsons.
Yes, the most successful, definitely her for sure. But famous would probably still be Christian Slater, I think. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he was a leading man for a while. Peter Coyote's like that guy actor who's been in a ton of stuff, and Dean Stockwell's very recognizable, but
yeah.
I was a little disappointed when I looked up Keith Gordon that like he had a couple years there where he's like Jaws 2, Dressed to Kill, Christine this, and then it's like he kind of petered off, but I thought he was really good in this, and I like him a lot in Christine. I think he's a really charismatic actor from that time period, and it's like, I don't know if he just like looks a little too goofy to be like the dramatic lead in things, but as this kind of character where he's like the love interest, but he's also kind of an outcast goofball, he's great. I thought he was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right. So what is, we talked a little bit about it, but talk about what this movie is, because it's unique. It's a different movie.
Yeah. I dug like, I dug the vibe of it, but like the story, it's cheesy, but I actually like it quite a bit. So, Christian Slater is the younger brother of Helen Slater, and it's like a small town. I think it's Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah,
and she's like they're poor. They live in a trailer park, but he has like saved up his money and bought like this really nice red scooter that he rides around on, like a motor scooter. And his older sister is hot, and so this like group of jerkwad like jock kind of guys are like fucking with them, end up stealing the motor scooter, and when Christian Slater's character goes to get it back, they wreck the scooter and beat the shit out of him. So then the next day, his older sister, Billie Jean, she's like the more mature, she like takes the bike to a shop and gets an estimate on what it'll cost to fix it, and goes and demands that the main bad kid, Hubie's dad, who owns like a little surf shop, like seaside knick-knack store, demands that he pay for it. And he is basically like, okay, I'm gonna sexually molest you and give you $50, and every time you come back and let me do it again, you'll get another $50.
Yep, crazy.
And like a scuffle occurs. Christian Slater ends up finding the guy's handgun in the cash register of his store and accidentally shoots him. And then the four kids, Christian Slater, his sister. I'm just now realizing the coincidence that they play siblings and they both have the last name Slater.
Yes, they do. It's funny that you're just now noticing that in the middle of this episode. Yeah.
And then Ophelia and Putter, the two female friends, they all jump in Ophelia's father's car and take off. And they're just they're trying to decide, like, do we turn ourselves in? What do we do? Obviously, Putter, the Yardley Smith character, and Christian Slater's character, Binks, they're on the younger side, they're less mature, and they're just kind of enjoying being outlaws and want to stay on the run. And then it's like this small town has this news story that starts to like blow up, and the youth of like Texas starts to rally behind Billie Jean as almost like it's not even like a metaphor. They straight up call out Joan of Arc, show footage
Right.
from an old adaptation. She cuts her hair to have the kind of Joan of Arc look. And then Joan of Arc eventually gets burned on like a stake, and they build this giant like attraction, like statue of her that ends up getting burned in the end. It's like very on the fucking nose, but it's like she becomes like this legendary like voice of the people when she films her little thing and is like, we were wronged. Like, we're not going to take no for an answer. What was the line?
Fair is fair.
Fair is fair. Yeah, like all they want is the $608 to pay for the bike repairs, but they will only accept it if the asshole father who tried to rape her will like give them the money back. And like all these other young girls of her like same age range start to cut their hair like her, and it's almost like the fucking Underground Railroad where like while they're on the run from the cops, like all these other girls that kind of dress and cut their hair like her are like picking her up in their cars, dropping her off at the next group who will like take her on a motorcycle to this underground like hideout for kids, kind of like the fucking Foot Clan hideout in Ninja Turtles.
And she becomes like an actual hero. Like she saves a kid from a dad that's like beating him.
Yeah. It's like she becomes like a folk hero.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like a story, again, like Joan of Arc. It's a story where there's numerous examples of this kind of story throughout history and throughout like media and popular culture. But this was like the 1980s. Let's take that and make it for the youth. Yeah. Because kids are like a viable market for movies now. And, you know, so they layer in all the 80s-ness of the time that appeals to kids. And
yeah, but what's weird is it's not a kids movie. This is not like a kids movie.
Not a kids movie, but it's a movie for the youth. It's for like high school students.
Yeah.
And like college age kids, I would think.
Yeah,
so like
for sure.
Not kids, like elementary schoolers or something.
Sure.
But
yeah, it's not a family movie, but it's definitely made for a younger it's for a younger generation too. It's stand up to the stand up for what is right sort of thing. I don't know. It's really entertaining. Like I never knew where the movie was going, and I think because of that I was like hooked. And it's not long. It's 90 minutes. So it's like it's moving at a brisk pace. And it deals with like a lot of cliches and things that we've seen in other things, but it does it in sometimes in a not the best or most interesting way, but in a way that's entertaining. Like,
yeah, it's very cornball and on the nose, but it's like it's still just like you care about the characters and you're with them. And as silly as it is, like some young kids notice Billie Jean sitting in a car and they're like, "You're Billie Jean, aren't you? Will you help us save our friend?" And it's like, as she's walking down the street following these kids to the house of like an abusive asshole who's like beating up his son, all these other kids in their yards are like, "That's Billie Jean." And they're like jumping over fences and following her down the street to the point where when she goes in the house to confront the dad, he's like, all like, "I'm a big bad dude who's going to like kick your ass." And then he looks out the windows and he sees just like a mob of kids standing outside looking at him, and he like backs down. It's like incredibly corny.
Yeah.
But goddamn, if it's not like empowering and fun to watch.
Yeah, it totally works. That's the crazy part is like, we'll get to the reviews, and it's not a well-regarded movie.
Oh, I'm sure that this is not a...
Man, like, as I'm watching this movie, I'm just in for it. And Helen Slater, you know, I mentioned that I liked her as Supergirl, way more charismatic in this. Like, she owns the scene. She's really good.
She's good.
And so it's easy to like fall in love with her like everyone in the movie does, and then kind of like want to rise up with her as well. Like, even though, again, like you're saying, it is corny, it is silly, it is ridiculous, but man, it works. It really does.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun to see the progression of the character to like, she happens to meet this guy who has like, you know, a camcorder and can make copies of tapes, and she decides to record this thing, and she doesn't mean to like start a revolution, but she has like this catchy line, "Fair is fair," and she like kind of holds her hands up when she says it, and she has this unique look, and then people start putting "Fair is fair" on t-shirts, and
and the asshole guy Pyatt starts profiting off of her too.
Yeah, he's like making money off of her, and I don't know. They're like, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I kind of want a fucking Fair is Fair shirt or like an I'm with Billie Jean shirt.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of thing where I know this, I'm sure that this is not like a huge favorite of a lot of people, but in the way that, you know, the internet has brought like these little sects of people together who like, you know, like, oh man, I always loved the movie Street Trash too. And now there's like all these like t-shirt companies who make like short runs of like new shirts based on like shitty old movies that only 12 people remember. I'm a little amazed I've never seen like Cavity Colors or one of these other companies out there, Graveyard Goods, make like Billie Jean shirts because it can't cost much to get the rights from the studio who owned it when they're selling it in a 6-pack of Sun, Sweat, and Sand, you know?
For sure. Yeah, fair is fair, man, for sure. So yeah, they have exploits as they're on the run. You know, she tries to set things up. She has this like meeting in the mall, which has this really fun scene of them like running throughout the mall and escaping. She puts out IOUs for everything. I thought that was kind of funny. Like literally, like I owe you some money for this item that we're about to take, including a gun, a plastic gun.
Yeah, a toy gun.
That was like, man, that was super nostalgic because you cannot find a plastic toy gun
that looks like a real gun.
Yes, that does not happen at all anymore for a good reason.
Yeah. I thought that was a cool element of the movie because they know that Binks, Christian Slater's character, did shoot someone with a real gun. So then the rest of the movie, they're like, well, he pointed a gun at me. Is it real or is it fake? I don't know. Like, I thought that was a cool element of the movie.
Yeah.
I would say that if there's one thing that weirdly sticks out to me that I don't like or I thought was kind of dumb, is that when she's being chased. Yeah.
Was it when Lizzie Simpson gets her period?
No. I mean, that was pretty dumb too, I have to admit.
So weird.
But
like, why?
No, it was that she gets away by throwing a bag of marbles on the ground and the guy's chasing her slip. Like, that was kind of stupid, I thought.
Yeah.
Of all the things in the movie.
Yeah, that Looney Tunes cartoon sort of style of her getting away for sure.
Yeah. But, I mean, and then, like, the other thing that I thought, I was like, it feels like they're maybe going a little too far when the politician hires, like, sharpshooters to come to the beach when they're supposed to give themselves up at the end.
Yeah.
And one of the snipers actually ends up shooting Christian Slater. I was like,
yes.
I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, that was odd. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. There's a couple other times where it's like, are they going too far with this? Is it?
Like when the guy in the truck is chasing them down the highway and shooting at their car?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I thought, oh man, this is like way serious. Like one of them is actually going to get shot. And again, Lisa Simpson that has her period instead of actually getting shot, which was
well, like for half a second, I thought like, oh my God, did one of them actually get shot? Is this about to get more fucking real? Like, but yeah, then they turn it into a dumb joke.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, just the tone and this, what they set up, I feel like I was always entertained. Whether or not it works 100% is up for debate. And I feel like, I wouldn't make an argument for it. But, while the movie is happening, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is cool. I'm enjoying what I'm watching.
Yeah. It's like, is it like an incredible film? Probably not. But is it entertaining? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and then in the end, like the confrontation between her and Pyatt was pretty good with the crowd around and the fire starting and everything. Yeah, I kind of wish that he got it even worse than he did. Because lest we forget, he tried to rape an underage girl.
Right.
But
yes, that is true.
I'll tell you what. Throughout the course of this movie, she knees a lot of dudes in the crotch.
She sure does.
He got it pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
A couple times because she did it to him in the mall too, I think.
Yeah. She knows where to go with that knee for sure. I was like, man, this stand is going to set on fire, isn't it? And then like, I didn't know how. I thought I was like, let's burn this place down, like burn the motherfucker down. And then it sort of like happens by accident. And, but yeah.
I did think it was cool when like all the people saw that the guy who was profiting off of her was the villain, and then they started like taking off all the things that he had sold them with her name on it and throwing them into the fire.
Super corny, but
super
totally
corny,
works.
but good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like all the little elements, like right from the beginning, they cut in every now and then with this like radio DJ, like a shock jock kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they touch in with him every now and then throughout the movie. And he's having like contests, and they're like doing a drive to raise money to like buy Binks a new scooter, because that's what started the whole thing. And at one point he's like, come on down and pick up the money. There's enough here for 10 scooters. And like just all that stuff, the way that it like builds through, like by today's standards, a comparatively, you know, Stone Age feeling form of like popular media. Yeah. Before the days of hashtags.
Yeah, for sure. I liked the cutaways to seeing the people that loved her or were inspired by her. Like normally I'm not big into like, and now let's cut to the news to explain what's going on. It wasn't that at all. It was more of like giving us a chance to see how she's impacting the world or the area that is falling in love with her.
Yeah. I mean, it's an important part of the story, so it makes sense that they do it.
Yeah. And it was done really well. I liked it. Just seeing people like, yeah, fair is fair, raising their fist and all that stuff. That was good.
Yeah. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that this isn't like a more popular movie from the time.
It doesn't even have like a huge cult following either, which again is really surprising. I think it feels like this could be a perfect candidate for a cult following. Let's talk a little bit about the box office for this. The numbers again for this movie are tough because it was a smaller movie and it didn't make a lot of money. So it's not like people spent a lot of time getting all the numbers straight. The closest thing I could find for a budget was $6 million. That's an estimated budget, but that sounds about right for this time. It made $6.9 million. So just barely made its budget back. It debuted in 900 theaters on July 19th and grossed $1.4 million on its first weekend at number 14. Now, Ryan, I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you the 13 movies that were above it, and just tell me what you're going to go see this weekend in July of 1985. Number 1, Back to the Future in its third week.
I mean, I've probably already seen it once or twice at this point, but
right.
Okay, go ahead.
E.T. in a re-release. It was released a couple years before that, but it was number 2 at the box office this week in a re-release. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Cocoon, Silverado, Rambo First Blood Part 2, The Man with One Red Shoe, Pale Rider, St. Elmo's Fire, Explorers, The Emerald Forest, Day of the Dead, and The Goonies. That was 1 through 13, and debuting at number 14 was The Legend of Billie Jean. What a weekend, the movies, right? Like you could just stay there the entire weekend watching all of those movies.
I mean, it's sad to say that's probably why this movie isn't remembered that well, because it had all that competition.
Yeah. That was nuts. When I saw it was 14 and then I looked at the list of movies, I was like, unbelievable. What an unbelievable
but I mean, these are the days when, you know, a movie like Back to the Future or The Goonies or Rambo would come out and it would just stay in fucking theaters for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. It's not like today where you got to make all your money in the first couple weekends. Otherwise you're considered a flop and you're out of the theater. Yeah. Like stuff would just ride it out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And crazy. You know, this is even like, I don't know when exactly like VHS and beta first came out, but I mean, in 85, we're halfway through the 80s. Probably not a lot of households have VCRs or beta players at this point. So that's why they're like re-releasing E.T. just like, I mean, E.T., I think that movie probably stayed in theaters for close to 12 straight months because it was so popular.
Right. Yeah.
So let's say at least it's in theaters until early 83. And then 2 years later, they're putting it into re-release because it's not like it's super easy to rent or own it. So they're like, well, that movie was big enough that we can make more money off of it. Let's put it back in theaters again. And it still managed to beat this several times over. It was a different landscape back then. Totally. And I guess it was just tough for something like this to break through all the noise.
I mean, just look at the options literally for everyone. You've got Back to the Future for basically everyone. You've got Mad Max and for
Rambo
in sci-fi heads. You got, Rambo for the people that want action. You got Pale Rider if you want Western. You've got St. Elmo's Fire if you're like in college and want some like teen drama. You've got Cocoon for the older crowd. You got Goonies still in the theaters.
Fans.
Yeah. Goonies.
Day of the Dead for horror fans.
Yeah, totally. It's like there's so much playing in July. So it's pretty crazy.
I mean, even to think that Silverado and Pale Rider are in theaters at the same time, like you have two options for a Western in mid 1985.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, man. In its second and final wide weekend it grossed 668,000.
See, that's the thing. It's only was in wide release for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
I mean, I guess keeping it in theaters wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if it was that poor out of the gate, but it's just like it didn't even have a chance.
Yeah, for sure. It stayed in limited theaters for 2 more weeks, grossing $150,000 in those 2 weeks. So
damn, it was in theaters for 4 weeks.
Yep,
rough.
Yeah, again, competition was tough for sure. That didn't help. You know what else didn't help? The reviews. 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert gave it 1 out of 4 stars and said, the single silliest sword and sword. Nope, that's wrong. I forgot to paste that one in there. So I don't know what Roger Ebert said. I had it, just didn't paste it in. We'll skip that. Joy Bayer of the Orlando Sentinel said, it's as easy to overpraise a movie like Billie Jean as it is to entirely dismiss it. At its best, the film recalls the jauntiness of the Sugarland Express, which told a somewhat similar story. Matthew Robbins, who directed Billie Jean, co-wrote the earlier film. At its worst, Billie Jean turns solemn and the screenplay ignores the humorous ironies about Billie Jean's celebrity that it capitalizes on elsewhere. Compared to the more ambitious films, The Legend of Billie Jean wouldn't rate very high. But don't measure a B movie by an A movie yardstick. Fair is fair after all.
Oh, wow.
That's a rough, like kind of positive review. Is it? I don't think so, but yeah.
It feels like he's being pretty magnanimous.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily praising it, but he's not dumping on it either.
Yeah, that's true. Patrick Goldstein of the LA Times said, unfortunately, Billie Jean stumbles to its widely improbable conclusion with precious little help in the Death Strokes department. Instead, hopes to win our favor with a pallid version of a courageous young heroine determined to stand up for her rights. Again, not really positive. Sid Smith of the Chicago Tribune said, teenagers who may not have seen this picture's many hero outlaw predecessors might like its pop soundtrack better than average acting and modest punk attire. Everyone else is likely to find Billie Jean the very thing that becomes a legend least. Yikes. And then pulling out the old Leonard Maltin book here. What do you think? What do you think Leonard Maltin's going to say about this one?
I mean, I have to imagine basically the same thing everyone else is saying. It's okay, but nothing special. 1.5 out of 4 stars would be my guess.
All right. 1.5. The Legend of Billie Jean, according to Leonard Maltin, 2 stars.
Oh, all right.
Texas girl and her brother are implicated in a shooting. Unjustly accused of other crimes, they run from police and soon become rebel heroes. Helen Slater is very good, and film is watchable. But its adult characters come out as caricatures, and the message gets muddied. Christian Slater's first film.
You know, it's great when a reviewer calls a movie watchable. That's definitely a good sign.
Guys, this movie is watchable, all right? But it's good, but not great. I don't know. I think the critics were a little unfair on this one.
I mean, I don't know. It's not a movie that's geared towards the critics. Like I said, I feel like this is a movie for youth, for like high school age kids. And I just think with like Back to the Future and the Goonies still hanging in there, it didn't find its audience, would be my guess. Like, I don't think, not that it's, on the same level as a Back to the Future, which is just like one of the most perfect all around, sci-fi action adventure comedy romance movies ever made. But I don't know. I feel like if it didn't come out when Back to the Future was the #1 movie at the box office, it might have done a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's something that kids of the time would have enjoyed, but they just didn't see it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I understand why the critics didn't love it, but as just a viewer, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Awards, no. Movie made barely made a nickel. So, and the critics didn't like it. So it's unlikely to get any award recognition for it. And as we kind of mentioned, it didn't really have much of a cultural impact. It came and went, doesn't really even have much of a cult following. I know it's been released as a 6-pack in Blu-rays at Walmart, but it doesn't have like any sort of like special releases or anything. There's no one clamoring for it. It just kind of came and went, unfortunately. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I had a good time.
As far as notes go, I think we mentioned this before. Christian Slater's first lead role. I think that means he might have been in some other stuff, but actually was a lead character in this. And then the movie's theme song was a Grammy-nominated song called "Invincible" by Pat Benatar. It peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in September of 1985. I think that song works. I really thought Billy Idol's Rebel Yell worked awesomely in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hell yeah, with the Rebel Yell. Like as they're running through the mall, escaping the cops and the dude, I thought, man, what a needle drop. This worked really, really, really well. I thought, so.
I'm assuming the Pat Benatar song is the one that played during the montage that was kind of like the Underground Railroad where they're like driving her around, taking her. Like, I thought that song was really cool for this movie as well. And I mean, was it written for the movie or just they chose it as like the theme song for the film? Either way, I think it really worked.
It wasn't written specifically for the movie, but it came out before it came out on the album. So like this was the people's first time listening to this movie, or this song was in the movie.
Okay.
And it was released as a single, and
I thought that was a good song, and it fit the movie very well as well.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought the other tracks aren't as noticeable or as memorable, but I thought the music was good. I thought the music that they picked really fit the time, and worked really well.
Have you ever had this experience? I feel like, I watch a ton of movies. I am constantly going back and like watching older films, like obscure stuff that I've just missed all the time. And it happened to me with this movie where like I'll be watching a film like from the 80s, say, and there's some super cheesy like 80s just kind of power ballady kind of song or whatever. And maybe I've heard it before, but more likely I haven't, and it's kind of a forgotten song or something. Mm-hmm. And just in the moment, you're like watching a movie and it's maybe like a nighttime scene in the streets of like a city, and there's like some neon lighting and like the streets are all wet from the rain and a character's walking down the street and it's just like wailing saxophone or something. And in the moment, I'm just like, this song fucking rules. And then I'll like think to myself, I got to track down that song because it's awesome. And then if you listen to it when you're not like in the zone of that scene in the movie, it just doesn't hit the same.
Yes. That's like, definitely
happened to me
sure.
So many times. I haven't looked up this Pat Benatar song, but I feel like I should, and it's going to happen to me again. But like in that moment in the movie, all those like girls that are dressed like her, like ushering her around and hiding her from the cops and meeting up in like underground lairs and shit. I was just like, this song fucking kicks.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, man. The right needle drop. I mean, Tarantino probably is one of the best, maybe Scorsese with all the Rolling Stone stuff, but like when it works, it really works.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's somehow more impressive in a case like this, though, to me, where it's like not a song that I even recognize or know. I'm hearing it for the first time. Sure. Maybe I'm just like, this is awesome. It's not like, well, obviously that's a good song and he's just utilizing it well.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I feel like maybe Tarantino does it more because like Stuck Here in the Middle with You is not a song I would necessarily know, but then like used to great effect in Reservoir Dogs. Or like, or like Miserlou, that like guitar song from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But a good needle drop is super memorable. And I feel like Billie Jean, The Legend of Billie Jean has that. So both with the Pat Benatar song and with Rebel Yell. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot of Billy Idol music in 80s movies, but this is one of the most effective times, especially for that track. So, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, there's no awards, there's no cultural notes, there's not even a lot of like behind the scenes with this movie. And you know, we saw it in the theaters. It came and went. It was there for 2 weeks wide, and it barely made a blip. But you know, if you like a young, beautiful girl who doesn't wear a bra, I feel like that is like the entire first part of the movie, she's just like wearing just this tiny white t-shirt as they go like swimming and like running throughout Texas. And then she becomes like a hot Joan of Arc in the second half.
Hot Joan of Arc. See, if they'd called the movie that, it would have been a hit.
Yeah, maybe.
As good of a title as The Legend of Billie Jean if it was The Legend of Hot Joan of Arc.
Like she wouldn't even have thought about Joan of Arc if it wasn't for her boyfriend that they kind of randomly stumble upon the house.
Yeah.
Right?
They're just driving down a street full of like rich people's houses, and they're like, that one looks empty, and they stop and they just break in and start eating. I did think that was weird how she's like exploring around the house, and then all of a sudden a werewolf is sneaking up behind her. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Crazy. Good stuff. All right. I guess I'll ask you the question, Ryan. Did you miss The Legend of Billie Jean?
Goddamn right I did. Like I said, I wanted to watch this movie for a while just based on a couple of simple things in the advertising, and totally worked for me. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. Like I said, it's not like, you know, the best movie ever made or something, but it deserves, in my opinion, a lot better than it got.
I'm with you. I think this is an underrated gem. I think I don't get the people that love 80s nostalgia aren't aware of this movie. I feel like this should have, especially with the rise of 80s nostalgia with like the Stranger Things stuff, this feels like right up the if you like Stranger Things, again, not the same tone, not the same content, but same feel 100% of that like 80s nostalgia that you're looking for. This is a movie for you. And I think this is a miss. Like I miss this one, and glad you picked it.
Yeah. You and me both. I'd be curious to know, because you said it's 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's critics, which again, I feel like this movie wasn't made for critics. I'd be curious to know if the fan or the viewer score or whatever is higher. Like, are there people who do like this now, or have, you know, watched it again and have a different feeling about it, or there is like a little bit of a cult following to it and it's just the critics who have a stick up their ass, or what?
Well, I'll tell you this, there's 5,000 plus ratings on Rotten Tomatoes for users. Take a stab. 39% for critics, X for,
I mean, it better not be less. I mean,
for users.
It just feels so likable and like easily entertaining that I would think it should be up in like the 70s, but I'm guessing based on what you're saying, it's probably only like a 50.
50 is your guess?
Sure. I guess I'm way high.
You're way low, my friend. 75%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's exactly where it should be. That's kind of how I feel. So yeah, it's like I said, it's not a movie that's made for the critics. You know, maybe only 5,000 users have reviewed it, but like, there's got to be at least 5,000 people out there who liked this when it came out in 1985.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you didn't watch it then, if you go back and watch it now, I think it'd be pretty high on Letterboxd, 3.5 stars. So
out of 5. Yeah,
3.5.
Okay.
76 big fans.
I think that means 76 people who have it in their top 4 on their profile page.
That's interesting.
I think that's what that means.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, check out The Legend of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
For sure.
Movies I missed approved.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of Movies I Missed 1985. We're hitting the home stretch here. We've got 2 more episodes. Next week, we're staying in the same lane as The Legend of Billie Jean, right? With this next movie, Out of Africa. Just kidding. Something completely different. That's going to be my choice. And we'll see how that one goes. I think you've seen that one, right?
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
I think you actively chose movies that I hadn't seen this season. After last season, I had seen like everything you picked.
Right. Yeah. I think that was my goal. That was smart of me. All right. Let's get out of here, but come back next week for that. Until then, I'm Jesse Munoz.
Ryan Miller.
Come back next week for Out of Africa.